anywhere near an SAP S/4HANA implementation, you know that fit-to-standard workshops are, well, they can either make or break your entire project. So today, we're giving you a clear blueprint to make sure those sessions are a huge success, not a huge source of stress. Let's dive in.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about why these workshops are such a high-stakes game. Then we'll get into the 3 pillars of solid prep: picking your digital arena, building the perfect agenda, and getting your A-team in the room. And finally, we'll see how all that hard work really pays off.
So first up, the high-stakes workshop. And we call it that for a very simple reason. In these workshops, planning, like meticulous planning, isn't just some nice to have. It's absolutely non-negotiable if you want the project to succeed.
Let's be real for a second. We've all been in those workshops that feel a lot more like organized chaos than a precise science, right? The whole point of this explainer is to give you a framework that puts you firmly in that science category, so you can dodge all those early mistakes that can send a project sideways before it even gets going.
And this is exactly why it's so important. I mean, these aren't just meetings. These are the sessions where you pull the very DNA of your future system right from the minds of your business experts. Everything from configuration values to customization needs to data migration details, it's all on the table. Getting this part right is quite literally the foundation for everything else.
Okay, so now that we've established the stakes, your very first big decision is choosing the right arena. This is the digital environment, the system where all your demos and your deep dive discussions are going to happen. And believe me, it's a critical choice.
You've basically got 3 main choices here: the fully activated appliance, a customer evaluation system, or a converted sandbox. Now, each one has its pros and cons, but for most situations, there is one that really stands out as the clear front runner.
And yep, that front runner is the SAP S/4HANA fully activated appliance. So what makes it the best pick? Honestly, it's the versatility. It doesn't matter if you're doing a brand new implementation or a system conversion, it comes ready to go right out of the box to show off SAP best practices. It just makes it the most efficient and effective choice for the vast majority of projects.
So you've got your system picked out. The next crucial step is structuring the workshops themselves. This is all about crafting an agenda that's going to keep everybody focused, engaged, and most importantly, productive. Here's a super simple 4-step recipe for building that agenda. First, you look at your process flows and you identify the key business roles. Simple enough. Then, you group together the processes that use those same roles. That way you keep the right experts in the room at the right time. Next, and this is a big one, you gauge how complex each process is by checking the page length of the test scripts. Finally, you take all that info and fine-tune your schedule to fit neatly into half-day or full-day sessions. Now, if you want to see why that 3rd step is such a game changer, just look at this. The Material Requirements Planning Process, or J44, has a test script, which is basically just the detailed step-by-step guide that's 40 pages long. Compare that to Production Capacity Leveling, 3LQ, which is only 11 pages. You just can't schedule these two the same way. One is clearly a much heavier lift and is going to take way more time.
So, what's the takeaway here? Well, here's a really solid rule of thumb for you. Plan on covering about 1 to 2 processes in a half-day workshop. For a full-day session, you can aim for 2 to 3. This keeps the pace realistic, and it stops you from completely burning out your team.
You know, you can have the absolute perfect system, you can have the world's most beautiful agenda, but it all just falls apart if you don't have the right people in the room. So now, let's talk about how to assemble your A-team.
And here it is, the magic number: 2 to 4. For each business role you're covering, you want a minimum of 2 experts, but definitely no more than 4. It sounds like such a simple rule, but it is incredibly powerful for keeping those discussions focused and actually productive.
You know that old saying, too many cooks in the kitchen? Well, this quote from the source material just nails it. The moment you get more than 4 people from a single role in that room, you run the risk of the whole conversation getting completely sidetracked. Keeping the group small and focused means the people who need to make decisions can actually, make them. Okay, but what about the opposite problem? The one that can stop a project dead in its tracks. You've done all this planning, the room is ready, the system is fired up, and your key experts are no-shows. What do you do then? You follow a clear professional escalation protocol. First things first, don't panic.
Check in with your team, see if it's just one person or a wider issue. If it is a wider issue, you escalate to your project manager. They can then take it to the customer's project manager, and if needed, all the way up to the executive sponsors. And that last step, that's the most crucial one. The message has to come from the sponsors that this is a #1 priority.
And look, it's really important to approach this with some empathy. Your customers' experts, they have demanding, full-time jobs already. That's precisely why the message that these workshops are a top priority can't come from the project team. It has to come from their own leadership. That's the only thing that truly clears their calendars and gets them in the room.
So we've hit on the system, the agenda, and the team. Let's bring it all home and talk about the ultimate payoff. Why does all this prep, all this meticulous work matter so much in the end?
Well, the benefits are real, and you'll feel them immediately. Good planning leads to smooth, efficient workshops, which leads to a more accurate system configuration. That in turn means fewer project delays, a lot fewer headaches later in the realize phase, and maybe best of all, a project team that's confident and totally aligned.
At the end of the day, the effort you put in upfront isn't just about having a few good meetings. It's about setting the entire trajectory for a smooth and successful project, from the very beginning to the very end. That prep work pays you back over and over again for months.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought. A project's success isn't decided on go-live day, not at all. It's decided long before that, in the planning and the preparation you do for these critical workshops. So the only question left to ask is, are you prepared? Today, we're